going and not liking what I saw. I see myself going down the line and maybe getting in trouble, because there's times when we should have gotten in trouble. There was times when, maybe I should not be here. But God, even though I was far from Him, He protected me. So I was like, okay, I'll give Him a call. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go door to door this summer. And that didn't stop me, though, from doing the things I kept on doing, I kept going back to partying and stuff, even though I knew that I was gonna go door to door. I was like, it's alright, I'll fix myself up by the time, it's time, like a week before I'll stop doing these things, that these habits don't hinder me so much. Because I started smoking a lot, to where the fact that I would smoke maybe 1 pack a day, and at parties I'd smoke like 3 or 4. So I was like, and no one knew about this, my family didn't know about this, I was doing this. And I was like, how am I going to do it, from smoking so much, and also we're not going to be able to do that. So I was like, okay, I'll just figure it out, some way. So the night before, it was before we were to go to canvassing the next day. I would have so much more money if I didn't waste my money. It's a waste of money what I put my money into. I wasted so much money on these parties, wasted so much money on these different products that was, just breaking down my body, destroying it slowly. So I would maybe have a car right now if I didn't waste my money on that. So I decided to throw a big launch party, before I would go out, before I could, because at a sort of program through the church you can't do these things. So I was like, okay, I'm going to throw this big launch party, This is my last time doing this until the summer's over, right? So I got my friends together, from my old school, from public school and stuff, some new friends I met at parties and stuff. So we had this big old launch party. And I remember it was a Saturday night, like usual. And of course I went to church, did the whole thing. Really wasn't at church thinking about the night, trying to plan things so it'd be one of the coolest parties I've ever been to. And we got the people to get us the stuff, and we got everything settled down. So we went. Of course, I told my grandparents I was going to go to my friend's house, went to someone else's. Told some of my friends to pick me up, after it was over. So we went there, and that night I got really, I was so out of it. Like, I could not even walk when I got back. My friends had to pick me up. They had to lock the doors, so I was just going out of control because I wanted to stay longer, even though they knew that if I stayed longer, it would not have been good. So they took me home. They had to put the child lock on the door. I told them, take me home. I'll sneak into my window. Of course, I have no idea what I'm talking about, because I'm not even in my right mind. But I'm like, take me home, I'll go through the window. So you're like, okay, I'll take you home. At least they picked me up, right? They didn't leave me out in the street, so I'm happy for that. And they picked me up, and they took me to my house. And of course, they had to help me climb my fence because I was, too messed up. And they began to try to open the window. And I don't really remember that night, but I remember all this like it's a dream, kind of like hazy, like there, not really there. But I remember this part. We were trying to open it. I was banging on the window trying to open it. I'm like, what in the world? It's locked. And then I remember seeing a flashlight. And all I remember was my friends booking it because they didn't want to get in trouble. So I was like, what in the world's going on? And I just fell to the ground. My grandpa comes out. And he sees me. And I feel really bad because they had no idea what was going on. They had no idea what I was doing Saturday night. They had no idea that I was doing this. So they had to find out this way. They had to find out, not me telling them, but they had to find out by me showing up at home 2 or 3 in the morning to where I couldn't even walk. So they had to drag me into the house, both of them. And I was really messed up. I threw out all over the place, and they had to call my aunt to take care of me. And I remember this because the next morning I wasn't sure what was going on. I was still kind of out of it. I remember my aunt told me to go and take a shower. And you see, Satan brought me to this because I had fun. Yes, I had fun at the parties. Yes, I felt like the cool kid. I felt like everything was fine. I was like, yes, this is fun. I found my enjoyment. I found my happiness. In life, my purpose. And the devil does this because he deceives us. You see, while I was giving him control of my life and doing these little sins at a time, until ultimately I was all out for him, he was building this brick wall between me and God. He'd build 1 brick at a time for each time I'd not listen to God, right? So much so to where there was this brick wall where I could not hear God's voice, could not see His face, didn't care very much, and I thought I was alone. So the devil really worked at me slowly, but he really tried his best for me to separate, me from God. And that's what he does. He tries his hardest because he knows that the Word of God, he knows that God's love, that's so big, can transform our lives. He knows that God's love, is shown on the cross, and he wants to hide that cross from us. So I go back to here in this proverb because he uses different traps, different devices to distract us from God's love, you see. He offers us something better, he says. It reminds me of some movies that we watch sometimes. I think it was Travis who said earlier that the Bible is kind of like a love story, which is true. You see, he's our bridegroom, right? We're his bride, and there's that whole theme of he loves us, he's faithful to us, and we're there with him. But then this rebellious guy comes along. The devil, Lucifer, he comes along and tries to sweep us off our feet. He's like, oh, come ride my motorcycle, come do this, come do that. I'll offer you happiness. And a lot of times that happens in movies. The woman's faithful to the guy's faithful to her, and this dashing young man comes along, maybe a little bit better looking than the faithful one, takes her off her feet, takes her away, and he's always faithful to her, right? And in the end, he breaks her heart. And God is a faithful one. And when we go back to him, no matter what we've done, he doesn't condemn us. He doesn't say, yeah, right. Why would you? I told you so. I told you he would break your heart. I told you these things would not give you happiness. I told you they're just temporary. He doesn't say, I told you so. Like many of us dread to hear those words. Instead, he opens up his arms and embraces me and you. When we do these things, he says, I don't care. I don't care. Remember, I died for you. I washed you with my blood, alright? It's alright. You mess up. I'm here for you. And here in this Proverbs, it goes on to say what Satan uses. He uses these different devices, different tricks. And in 12 it goes on and says, Now is she without, now in the streets lieth in wait at every corner. So she caught him and kissed him, and with an impudent face said unto him, I have peace offerings with me. This day I have paid my vows, therefore come I forth to meet thee, diligently to seek thy face, and have found thee. So here it says this woman that's dressed in attire, right? The harlot's attire, she comes and says, I've been searching for you. I found you finally, right? And this kid out here is out in the dark going to her because he knows who she is. She's popular, and he's trying to find meaning in life. He's thinking maybe, I don't understand why I'm here. Maybe I'll find understanding in her, right? And of course, this trap that the devil sets out, he's like, okay, he'll find meaning in life with her. Temporary. So it goes on, and right here it says in verses 15 through 17, 15 through 16, she pretty much goes on and says, all these different, she describes what she's prepared for him, She describes that she's been waiting for him. She kind of tries to, seduce him and kind of say, I have all these things in plan for you, And right here in 18 it says, Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning, let us solace ourselves with loves. For the good man is not at home. He has gone a long journey. He hath taken a bag of money with him, and will come home at the day appointed. With her much fair speech she caused him to yield. With the flattering of her lips she forced him. He goeth after her straightway, as an ox goeth to the slaughter, or as a fowl to the correction of the stocks. Till a dart strike through his liver, as a bird hastens to the snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life. See, do you guys know what a snare is? A snare, a bird snare. No. It's kind of like it's a trap for a bird, right? And it does. Of course, birds are a little more intelligent. They don't go right away to the trap. You have to slowly lure them into the trap. And that's what the devil does to us. He just slowly lured me into the trap of this. I did not know it was for my life. God, the devil, he doesn't want to destroy us completely. He wants to destroy us spiritually. He wants to destroy us so much so with sin that we can't see the face of God. Because, sin is God can't see us. We can't see God because we have the sinful nature, right? Separation from God. So that's what he wants. He wants us to die ultimately that second death to where we can't see his face anymore. And, he slowly does it. And it's interesting to me because a lot of times, like I said, we forget that the devil's a smart guy. We forget that he's had years to study human nature. He's had years to study how guys and women and all of us work. He's got years of this, you know. We got to find out that this guy that we're messing with, he's not a rookie at this. He knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing, you know. Sometimes we believe that he's slumbering. Sometimes we believe that he's not paying attention, but he's always paying attention. He's like a lion walking around waiting for someone to fall. And we got to realize he's a powerful enemy. We shouldn't, believe that he's so powerful to where we confine ourselves into the corner of the room. Fetal position where we don't want to get up because we don't want to, sin or anything like that. Kind of put our, separate ourselves from society so that we won't sin, so that we won't, cause, God's heart to be broken. But I know that God is so much more powerful than the devil. See, Jesus Christ, He sets us free from the devil, from our adversary. He gave us the victory on that cross. And He loves us. That's why He was sent here, to give us that victory. And like I said, I'll go back to my testimony. I was waking up after this big long night that I had. My girl went to work. She's kind of more of the in your face kind of person, So I didn't have to deal with her in the morning. She went to work. My grandpa was kind of like the calm one, like trying to be more understanding. So I remember I woke up in the morning. I had to go take a shower, and I got to my restroom. And in the restroom when you go in, there's usually a sink and a mirror. So I went there and I got there to the sink, and as I was about to take a shower, I saw myself in the mirror, and I remember this, and I remember the image the face looked back at me. I remember I put my hands on the sink and kind of just looked at myself deeply, in my eyes, and I remember my chin was all scraped up, bloody, my nose was all bleeding. I had burn marks right here because that night I told people to use me as an ashtray because I don't remember the night. Dumb when you have no idea what's going on. When you put different things in your body that completely take your mind out of it. So I remember seeing myself, and I just remember looking at myself deep in the eyes, and I was like, what in the world have I become? What in the world am I doing, right? I had this burden, this feeling in my heart where I was like, why have I gone this far? Like, has this really brought joy and happiness in my life? Has this really shown me, like, am I really happy? Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing, finding happiness and partying, all night, or doing these different things, putting these things in my body? And I remember, I felt so low, so, just so dead inside. And, the next day I had to go cohort, I had to go door to door, doing the whole, hey, I'm a good Christian boy. Have you heard the health message? Have you heard about Illinois? Have you heard this and that? When I have no idea what these books say, don't put the health message to use myself. I mean, I'm doing these things. My body isn't very healthy right now. And I remember my leader, Jeff, the one that was, that recruited me, he pulls me in one morning. It was right before worship. And he comes in, he's like, Andrew, can we talk? I was like, yeah, we can talk. And he tells me straight up, he's like, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not trying to be, harsh, but I'm just going to tell you straight up. He's like, I think you're spiritually dead. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I'm totally far from God. And I remember he gave me his Bible. He took his Bible. He's like, all right, you can skip worship for today. Take my Bible. Go find a place quiet. Try and figure out why you've gone so far from God. Why you don't find things with Him enjoying. Like, why you don't find enjoyment in His Word? Why you separate yourself so far? There has to be a reason, right? There's a core issue. Try to figure that out so He can help you out.